First in housing development broadcasting.
Welcome to House and Health on Housing TV Africa, where we explore the crucial link between our living spaces and well-being. I am Cassandra Yenumbe. Today, we will talk about the safety of our homes, fire safety, and emergency preparedness. We will be back in a moment.
Thank you AIHS for the opportunity of this exhibition. It was a nice experience. I would like to make it again.
Thank you AIHS. Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone. Thank you AIHS.
Thank you AIHS.
Back. You're watching House and Health on Housing TV Africa. In 2022, Nigeria recorded over 2,056 cases of fire incidents with a loss of over 1 trillion naira of properties. According to the Federal Fire Service, property valued at more than 23.3 billion naira was lost to fire outbreak in the country between October and December 2022. Now, health isn't just about physical fitness. It encompasses the safety and security of our living spaces as well. Fire can pose serious threats to our health, from smoke inhalation to the stress and anxiety associated with emergencies. By embracing fire safety practices, we're not just protecting our homes, we're also protecting our health and that of our loved ones. Fire safety is directly connected to health, as it plays a crucial role in preventing injuries, protecting lives, and minimizing health risks. In the event of a fire, the immediate consequences include potential injuries or fatalities due to burns, smoke inhalation, or other fire-related hazards. Additionally, exposure to toxic smoke and gases during a fire outbreak can have long-term impact on our health. We will talk more about basic fire prevention measures and the need to figure out what to do if we ever need to leave our homes quickly and safely due to fire outbreak. We had a chat on fire safety with the National Public Relations Officer of the Federal Fire Service, ACF, Paul O. Abraham. Stay with us. Back to House and Health. We are discussing fire safety and emergency preparedness in our spaces. Fire safety is a set of practices and measures designed to prevent and mitigate risk associated with fire. Kindly stay with us as we bring you expert interview.
Okay, well, fire safety is simply put, it's all the measures you take to prevent fire from happening, or uncontrolled fire from happening in your homes. You know, and why is it important? No technology has been discovered yet to recover any item that has been consumed with fire. So when you have uncontrolled fire in your home and it consumes your property or life or assets, there's no way to recover them. So that's why it's very important to have fire safety measures in our homes. Well, from our data repository center, the data repository center is a technology deployed in the service to gather data on fire incidents across the country. So at our disposal at the data repository center, we can say that 80% of cause of residential fire is majorly out of negligence, stemming from unattended cooking, electrical appliances not being put out when not in use, gas cylinders not properly placed where they ought to be placed, and illegal connections, you know, electric fire, amongst others. Well, if you again recall that 80% of residential fire is out of negligence, so it starts with good housekeeping. Okay, you keep things in appropriate places. Doing that can go a long way in preventing resident or domestic fire incidents in the home. So if you don't tap electricity illegally, or you use the right connections, or you use the right quality of wires, you do not leave children unattended to in the kitchen, you know, your gas cylinder is not left under the sun when it should be covered, you know. So those simple housekeeping, you understand, you don't have your let's say your stabilizer or refrigerator very neck close to the mattress or under the hanger where you have your clothing. For students, you don't live in the same room where you cook with your top burners and all of that. You will have taken serious steps, you know, in ensuring that you don't have domestic or residential fires. Yes, when you talk about equipment or gadgets that people can put in the homes to safeguard them from residential fire, we're not going into first aid firefighting equipments. First aid, like the name implies, is the first things that can help, you know, prevent fire or mitigate fire, as the case may be. So you should be looking at extinguishers, smoke detectors, fire alarm system, dredgers, sprinklers, you know, fireballs, fire blankets, you know, as the case may be. These are gadgets that, okay, let's take, for example, the simple smoke detectors with the battery use type. If somebody is sleeping and maybe out of negligence again, you didn't put out appliances that should be put out, and then a fire results, there's a level of smoke or temperature that goes on, but because the person is asleep, he or she may not be able to know that that kind of incident is happening. But the smoke detector, when it peaks an average temperature or smoke, it's activated, and once that smoke detector is activated, it will wake you up. You get what I'm saying? So that way you have prevented or mitigated fire incident. Okay, and if anything should go wrong, you have your handy fire extinguishers, so you can actually, you know, help put out the fire because it's still at the incipient stage. You know, so those are some of the gadgets. The fireballs, you just pick them up. It's actually ball in shape, and then you drop it into the fire. You know, so those are some of the few gadgets or equipments that we refer to as the first aid firefighting gadgets. You know, and they go a long way to prevent and mitigate fire. Okay, well, importance and significance of fire extinguisher. Like I said earlier, fire extinguisher is one of the first aid firefighting equipments. Okay, it's there to mitigate, prevent, and where they need be, mitigate extent of loss or damage when fire results. So it's a very, very important gadget or safety equipment we should have in our homes. But like you said, some people don't understand the significance or even the management or the use of the fire extinguisher. So let's start with the management. The fire extinguishers, the major ones we have, are supposed to be serviceable. And so conventionally, and in line with international best practices, they should be serviced bi-yearly, which means they should be serviced twice in a year. Okay, so every 6 months, our extinguishers should be serviced. They should be placed in very conspicuous places in the homes. It's not something you put under the bed or put in the wardrobe or put under the box. No, they should be hung, you know, conspicuously. The reason is so that if anything happens, either the home user or first aid workers or fire officers, when they come, they can actually have, you know, access to it. Okay, and so it goes a long way to help mitigate fire when it results, especially at the incipient. And then to the usage, you know, the fire extinguisher, you know, for us professional, the usage is tied around an acronym which we call PASS. You know, pull the pin, aim at the fire, squeeze the nozzle, and then sweep at the base of the fire. Okay, you pick up your fire extinguisher, you have PASS at the back of your mind, which is PASS. The P is you pull the pin. There's actually a safety pin, you know, that runs in between the extinguisher. So you pull it, you carry it, you know, and then you aim. You know, when fire results, there's actually the point where fire started from. We call it the seat of fire. Other people might say the base. But that's where the fire started from. That's the beginning. Okay, so that seat of fire, you take your extinguisher. When you pull out the pin, you aim at that seat of fire, and then you squeeze your nozzle. Up there is your nozzle, that double handle that you can put in between your hand. That's the nozzle. So you squeeze it, and now as you're squeezing it, you're not squeezing it into the air or squeezing it on the flame. You aim for the seat where the fire started from or where it's starting from, and then, you know, you sweep left and right. And the essence of this is you're able to put the fire completely out of control. Now, it's a stitch in time, says 9 they say. So that little instrument can actually save a whole house from going up in flames, you know. And so we cannot overemphasize the significance of having first aid firefighting gadgets in our homes, particularly the extinguishers. Okay, well, for those living in the rural areas who may not have access or afford these gadgets, firstly, the gadgets are not so expensive, but if we must speak to your question, first, like I said in the course of this our conversation, is simple housekeeping. Keep things in the appropriate places. Decongest the room or the space of items that may result into fire. Okay, for students, we'll continually encourage them not to cook in their room, the same space where they sleep, where you have your mattress, where you have your wardrobe or your clothing or your bags and shoes. If you cook in that kind of space, you're already setting up your own space on fire. Other things that, so when you do that simple housekeeping, you help reduce the possibility of fire outbreak. Again, your environment. So if you talk about rural areas, then you must keep your environment clean, such that the areas maybe where the bush or the grasses are growing and drying up should not be very close to the house, to avoid for bush burning incidents and all of that, so that when fire starts in the bush, it doesn't easily just creep, into the house. But beyond that, if you have fresh leaves, you have brooms, you have water in your drums, those kind of things can help, in the heat of fire outbreak challenges. Some people use sand. You can get buckets, and I still see them even in filling stations in the city. They have a bucket that is filled with sand. The idea is that they can pour it, over fire to put it out, because the essence is just to cut the fire triangle. Once you can cut oxygen off heat, and fuel, you will, to a large extent, put down the fire. But for preventive purposes, I think that we should harp and emphasize on basic housekeeping. Okay, families, part of our recommendation, and that's what we do at the Federal Fire Service, especially under the leadership of the present Controller General, Engineer Jaji Olola Abdul-Ganiyu, whose mantra is that fire prevention is cheaper, it's easier, and it's safer than firefighting. Okay, instead of deploying all those enormous resources in fighting fire, let us prevent fire. So we have several programs. One of them is the Catch Them Young program, in partnership with schools across the country, where our officers go there and educate school children, primary, secondary, even university. We're in partnership with the NYSC and all that. We do all of that just to educate people on, how to prevent fire. And then part of the advocacy program we do, we go to public spaces, we go to markets, we talk with religious leaders, market women, and various associations. As to families, it's very simple. If you have a fire station down your street or in your city, just put your kids in your car and drive them to the nearest fire station. We have officers there who will, again, give them talks on how measures or what to do when fire results, or what to do so that fire will not result. So here at the headquarters and across all the commands of the Federal Fire Service, we have families bringing their children, we have neighborhood coming with kids, to get those sensitization, and bringing them up to speed, in what we're doing. So my first recommendation would be that parents should expose themselves to fire safety literatures, and in turn, educate their children. And where you feel you don't have the time, just bring them to us. Within 30, 40 minutes, our men are on ground to talk the children through the process. If you're alone and you're a child and fire starts, run out of that building as quickly as you can and call the attention of adults. We will not encourage children to try any macho thing. It's very dangerous considering their level of understanding and orientation. So if you're a child and fire results, just run out of the building and get the attention of adults, as quickly as possible. Yes. Most common is it will not happen to us. It will not happen to us, God forbid, and all of that. Fire service is not functional. Fire service will never come. Fire service will come without water. Those are the simple most conception that we come across. But we have been working assiduously to debrief them. Nobody knows when fire is going to come. So prepare, keep your house clean, have your first aid fire equipment ready, because you don't know when it will happen. But most importantly, we should not be negligent. Don't cook, don't put food on fire unattended to. Appliances that are not in use, put them off. you know. And if you must connect to electricity, make sure that you get qualified persons to do the connections. Don't go tapping and moving wires around the house. How can they become more informed? Well, they can follow us on Facebook. We're there. We're on Twitter. Just Federal Fire Service, you know, on Facebook, and you will see some of our fire safety tips on Twitter, on Instagram. We're there, you know, and of course, I'm a great reader, so I will encourage them to always read, do up a research, one or two things, and then you come up with what we're working on. Presently, for example, we're working on the machine-to-machine communication. Okay, the machine-to-machine communication is what the Controller General is particularly passionate about at this time. And what is machine-to-machine communication? We've set up platforms across the country where from your smoke detectors and fire alarm, we can actually get a buzz. You know, whether you're at home or you're not at home, it's actually for smart cities, smart homes and all that, yes. So the AI, which is the artificial intelligence, has capacity to activate, you know, the call on your behalf when the temperature or the smoke gets to a particular level. This, the Federal Fire Service is doing in partnership with Holisys, and trainings are all going to bring our men up to speed. And so very soon we'll be deploying across the country. We have a toll-free number, which is 112, which is a national emergency number. Okay, so it's not domiciled with the Federal Fire Service. What that means is that if you call that number, normally when they pick it, they will have to reroute you in case it's fire to the fire service, to the Federal Fire Service or the State Fire Service, as the case may be. But because we also understand the gap in that communication, people are not patient to wait to be rerouted, sometimes network and all that. We have what we call a control room number, but this is not toll-free. It's a regular number, mobile number. But what that does is that it gives you direct access to us. You don't need to be rerouted, you know, to get to us. And if you call this number from across the country, we're able to turn out the nearest fire station to you, you know, where the fire is happening. And so that's our control room number. That's actually 080-3200-3557. I'll take it one more time. 080-3200-3557. So that's, for us, our national control room number. Once you call that number, no matter what part of the country you are, we're able to turn out the nearest fire station to that incident, and our men will be there. Well, like I'm not a I'm not a medical doctor. I'm sure that's what you mean. Neither am I a nurse. But part of our mandates, okay, it's paramedic services. So we are one of the agencies of government in Nigeria that has, as part of our mandate, ambulance services. So every time we turn out for fire, we're going along with an ambulance, because sometimes people get burned, people get hurt, maybe trying to escape from fire. Even fire officers get injured in attempt to, you know, and all of that. So fire, there's a level of heat that comes on humans that is unhealthy. So people can get burned, you know, and all of that. First degree injuries and all of that. But ultimately, even in attempt to put out fire or attempt to run away from fire, people get injured. But if you do your housekeeping and everything is in order, you may not get into that emergency situation that becomes a health issue. Well, in general, I will say that the Federal Fire Service, under the leadership of Engineer Jaji Olola Abdulganiu, is doing a lot. You know, we want to encourage Nigerians to support us and desist from attacking firefighters. You know, and then when fire happens, don't do videos or take selfies. Please call the Federal Fire Service, and I'm sure we'll be there.
There you have it. A well-prepared fire strategy contributes to public health by safeguarding individuals from the immediate health impacts of fire outbreaks. As we wrap up, remember that the steps we take can profoundly impact our health. It is a collective responsibility to ensure the safety of our homes and spaces in general. Remember, knowledge and action are our strongest tools in creating safe homes. Join us again on Housing Health. Keep watching Housing TV Africa on channel 149 on Star Times. I am Cassandra Yunumbe. Bye for now.
Housing TV Africa, your first in housing news.